The best way to approach this assignment is by looking again at the API documentation. So how can we get a single crocodile? Which endpoint do we need to use? We need to use this one. So it is my/crocodiles, then the crocodile ID. We are already pretty experienced with this. We could take it again in Postman and try to get it to run there, but that should be only our backup option in case we cannot get it to run in K6 from our first try. So let's take a look. So first of all, let's go ahead and simply extract some data from here because we know that we need the ID. So how can we get the ID? Well, first of all, we should put this in a variable. So we're gonna take a look and see if this variable has been defined anywhere. We see where we defined it here once. And in order to extract data, so we can easily reuse it here. So in order to get a token, let's go ahead and use something like console.log. And we're gonna use the response.json as a method call. And then we should have here the ID, so it should be .id. So this first step should already help us out figure out what is the ID under which this crocodile has been created. We'll be able to see it here, so it is like a valid value, and we can also cross-reference it with what we have in the JSON response. So that already looks good. So let's define a new variable. I'm going to call it new crocodile ID. And I'm going to remove the console log because this is something we don't need at this point. We have checked. We have a valid value there, so it looks good. All right. Apart from this, what do we need? We can see how our request is pretty similar to the one where we're getting all the crocodiles. So we can simply use that one. So I'm going to copy it and simply paste it here. And taking a look at the endpoint again, we're going to see here that we need to provide here the ID. Now we're going to use again this trick where we're using backticks because it makes our syntax a bit easier to read. So again, I'm using backticks. These are not single quotes that you see here. And we're going to use here the crocodile ID. So it needs to be $. We're going to open up the braces. And then at the end, we're still going to have /. And this will be a GET request. So we're getting a new crocodile ID and making the request. So at least here in the logs, we should be able to see this. So let's take a look at the last response that we have executed. Just to check, this is the endpoint. So my/crocodiles/ the crocodile ID. Perfect. And then we're getting here the crocodile. One last thing, let's also add a small check just to make sure that everything is looking good with this request that we have here at the end. So right at the top of the script, check is already imported. If not, simply go ahead and do that. And here at the end, I'm going to start with the check function, and we're going to pass here the response, and then we're going to open up here the object so that we can start writing some assertions. So first of all, we're getting a status to 100. So the first assertion should be on the status. And the way we do this is by using this function call here. So we're going to check the status property. I want to make sure that it equals to 100. So that's the first thing. And let's also check here the crocodile. We can either check the crocodile name or whatever we think should be there. We have here random croc, so not so interesting. Let's see if we're actually getting the right ID. So I'm just going to name it crocodile ID. And again, the same function. What we can write here is depending on the crocodile. So we have the response. The response is not parsed, so we need to use here .json. We're parsing the response, and then we can access the ID property. And we can check that indeed the crocodile that we have received is actually the crocodile we have created by comparing the ID. All right, so status is not 200. Let's figure out why that is the case. So maybe there's something that I still did wrong there. Let's try to understand for a second what is happening here. So we're passing the response, but as you can see here for the last assertion, we're actually using the wrong response. So it's coming from a different object. Just forgotten to add it here. So I'm going to reinitialize the response with the last request. Let's try it once again. And there you go. Status is 200. Crocodile. We have the right crocodile ID. And Yeah, now we have more certainty that what we're doing here is actually something that can be easily replicated. So this is pretty much in terms of getting the resource when we have created a crocodile.